In this video, we're going to address one of the major shortcomings in the 9th generation Civic, specifically the lack of an integrated garage door opener. I have a 2014 Honda Civic Touring Edition, and it doesn't have an integrated push-button garage door opener. We're going to fix that today, and I'm going to show you guys how. I'm sitting in my 2nd generation Honda Pilot, 2014 as well. And you can see that there's a nice map console up here with the integrated Homelink buttons to open and close the garage door. And it's this sort of setup that we're going to replicate in this Civic. For our project today, we just need a few things. This is the map light and console from a 4th generation 2011 Honda Odyssey. You can also get this from a Pilot, an Accord. Really what we're interested in is the Homelink module and interface, as well as the pop-in map light. A little bit later, I'll pull those out. I'll show you what everything looks like. We have a plug for power to the map console lights. We've got some wires that will go into the pins here on the Homelink. And then what I've got is a trim piece for the map lights from a 10th generation Civic. So the 10th generation, I think they transferred the hands-free microphones up and they reused this form factor. So we're going to leverage that for our Homelink. We're going to pop it all together and install it in the car. Really don't need a lot of tools for this job. Screwdriver, plastic pry bar, little screwdrivers, razor blade, some dental tools, and a voltmeter. We're going to pull the existing map light console out with a plastic trim removal tool, or you can get a flathead screwdriver, put a piece of cloth around it. Just want to be very careful we don't scratch or crack anything. So inside here, gentle. Pops right out. Same thing on the other side. All right, that comes out. And you've got 2 screws holding the casing inside. And we'll just ease it out. And there are 2 plugs on it. First one on the inside, second one on the outside. So just push, pops out. Same thing with this one. Push on the tab, ease it out. There, we have disassembled the map console light. So this connector here is the constant 12 volt positive, as well as a switched 12 volt positive that's associated with the doors and the map light. So when the doors open, the map lights go on, and that's all handled through the power on these 2 here. So if you want, you'll notice that the connector is slightly different on the replacement. So if you want to keep it in a state where you might want to revert to the original, you want to take this connector off. And I typically do that with dental tools. And what we're going to try to do is just insert the dental tool in here. There's a little tiny tab. We're going to use it to pull out the actual connectors, so that if we did want to revert at some point back to the old console, we'd have the plug and we hadn't ruined anything by cutting the wires. So pop that in. Underneath, press the tab, out. We'll do the same on the other side. There we go. So we've got these nice connectors, and we've saved the stock factory connector. Let's take a closer look at what we pulled out of the Civic. So this is from the 9th generation Civic. This is the map light and housing, as well as the connector. So you'll notice that these connectors are not the same size. As well, you'll notice that this housing is completely integrated with the trim. So you can't separate that. You can separate this module, which we'll do in a sec, but you can't separate the overall map light module. So that is different from the module here, which does pop out. So again, I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment. So really what we're interested in here in terms of reusing is this middle section, and then we're going to leverage everything else from the other assembly. Now we're going to do a little bit of work to get these assemblies out. Got 4 tabs on the Civic version, and we're just going to gently push down on these tabs and pop these guys out. All right, one module out, set that aside, and we're done with this for now. This assembly here, again, we've got some tabs to keep it in. We'll just gently push down, get these guys out. All right, so we have the main assembly out, which is great. And we'll pop out the Homelink. Just a side note, these are microphone for hands-free. We're just going to leave them in place, but we're not going to connect them for this application. All right, so again, we're done with this. We've got the module here for Homelink. We've got our casing. I'm going to remove this one from the Pilot as well, just because it's a little bit different. All right, we're going to set that one aside. So, at the end of the day, we are interested in this from the Odyssey, this one from the Odyssey, this from the Civic, and then we'll just bring back the trim. Let's put everything together in the trim, and then we'll get to the wiring. Now we're going to focus on getting everything wired up. So again, we have the Homelink module. It has a number of pins on the inside. We're going to plug into those pins, and we're going to hook them up to their respective power. So the constant 12 volt, as well as the switched for the door opening, come in on this, and then it feeds the lights here. So we're going to tap into the power and the ground here. We're going to use that to power our Homelink. So the way that the wiring works is as follows. We'll see that there are 5 pins in here, and we're going to use 4 of the 5. So the very bottom pin is the constant 12 volt. So I use these little sort of hobby wires, like working on Arduino or IoT projects. These work very well for just popping onto the pins. And we'll just slide that right on there. That is our 12 volt constant. The next one up is for the lighting, for illuminating the button light. We'll pop that guy on. The third pin up is not used at all. And then the top 2 are ground pins. Put that guy on. And that guy. So we're all wired up, and now we need to match this with the circuits on the map light. To connect the Homelink wiring to the vehicle and to the map light is fairly straightforward. You want to use the connector. I purchased this one from AliExpress. It connects into the map light housing on the right hand side there. And those 3 pins correspond to the constant 12 volt, the ground, and the switched 12 volt, or the map light 12 volt. So what you can do is tie the map link wiring into the connector wiring according to the diagram, and then you'll want to tie that into the vehicle wiring, the ground, and the switched, as well as the constant. So if you remember, the constant and the switched 12 volt is in the plug on the vehicle, and the ground is via the screw into the housing, into the map light housing, and then into the vehicle body. And so you can tie all of those things together. You'll see shortly when I go to install, you'll see everything tied in and how we connect it to the vehicle power. We will need to make some changes to the headliner. So we want to make sure we have a very accurate cut. So I'm just going to use a little bit of construction chalk, and then we're going to use that to mark out exactly where we need to cut the headliner. So I'm just going to put a little bit of it on the edge here, which expands into the headliner area. So we've marked the outline where we need to expand into the headliner. And I just have a nice sharp hobby knife here. And we're going to go really careful. All right, let's do a little bit of a test fit. That should work once we get it sort of jammed up in there. Excellent. We've got the little tabs up here. They're quite bendy, so we'll just either bend them or bend them until they snap, depending on how everything fits in there. Either way, screwed in twice, and then we've got this sort of section here which will catch the headliner. All right, we've got everything back, all of our components in the trim. I'm just going to connect the wires up. We'll start with the door. Start with the door control and sunroof here. Make sure that everything is super straight for this connector. Bit of a trick. You kind of gotta pull it forward so it slots in. There we go. Click. And our red one is the 12-volt constant, which will go to the blue here, and then our other 12 volts switched go to green. There you are. And we'll just shrink that up. All right, we've got the wires shrink wrapped. Get everything set up the way that we want it. So the little sort of stabilizer pins are the 3 stabilizer brackets. I'll push them all the way up. I think that's going to work best for my install. And then we're going to get the back section in and sorted out first. And then we'll pop the other one in. All right. So after messing with it for a little bit, getting it in place, we're just popping in the ground screw here, tightening it up. All right, let's do a little test of the lights. Everything's looking great. We just need to program the garage door, put the light covers back on, we're good to go. All right, let's see how everything works. There we go.